All right. Hey everybody. Another weird, super late night, super early morning, whichever you want to call it, stream. Because I don't know what's going on with my sleep schedule. I feel like I'm past jet lag at this point. I must be. And yet, here we are. So, real late night Pokemon kind of vibes here. But that's okay. Got Odo. He's in the background there. And I just wanted to continue playing Pokemon Green, so that's exactly what we're going to do. I think where we left off, I had just gotten to Vermilion, and excuse the lack of the music here, it's just helpful to kind of move through the game at a higher speed. But we're going to go on the SSN and fight a bunch of folks, so that's the idea. Hey, random. But last time, while I was off stream and still fighting weird sleep schedule, I went through Diglett's Cave and just ran through a bunch of power leveling. So it's a good place for it. I don't know if it's because the Diglets and the Doug trios are like the only ground type that you encounter, or if it's because they're higher levels, but man, they give you a ton of experience, so. Hey, Richard. Music's a bit loud. Let me turn it down a bit. Hang on. Let's see. Now I don't seem to be getting music at all. I don't know if you can hear it or not. Let's get out of this fight here. Yeah, I'm not getting anything now. Hang on a sec. I seem to be coming through. At least that's what the waveforms are telling me. It was you. Let's see. Audio input should be this. But I can't hear it either. Maybe we should restart. Here, I'll save. Let's see. That's really weird. It's showing. Oh, it is. Okay, I'm not getting it. That's weird. Hang on, let me check my. How does it sound versus me? Hopefully, you can hear me okay over it. Alright, let's go to the mixer here. It's not a stream without technical issues. There we go. Okay, cool. And now I can hear it too. So we're good. Alright. Now to turn the music off again while we're speeding through. But that's okay. Yeah, so wicked weird sleep schedule. I ended up working normal hours, which was good, but I was up late last night, or the night before, I guess now, and ended up falling asleep at around 5 p.m., waking up at around 1, so I think my my plan is basically I'm going to stream for a little bit, then I'm going to hit the gym, and just stay up until I normally would. Try to reset my internal clock here. So hopefully that'll work out. It's funny because I don't know if it's just a consequence of getting older, which is, I mean, it's probably like the correct answer, right? It's usually the answer for most things. But when I went to Japan the first few times, never really had a problem with jet lag. And then coming back this week, man, it's been an issue. The only thing I can think is that, can I leave? Yeah, cool. The only thing I can think is that, so when I was in Japan, I had to do a little bit of work for my job, so I ended up working really weird hours over there because it's a 15-hour time difference. So there were like 3 nights where I worked from midnight until around 7 or 8 in the morning, and then we would go out and like have a day, travel around, and then by the time we were back, like at 3 or 4 in the afternoon, I would try to get some sleep and then work all over again. So there were a couple of nights where I was doing that, so I think I just kind of threw my body out of whack. But hopefully getting some exercise in and having like a full day will do some good stuff for me there. Spent $90 on a spaceship in a game, I'm imagining. Because if you spent $90 on a spaceship in real life, I don't know that you would regret it. Unless we're talking models or something. But yeah, I'm enjoying playing this. I really like the Retro Freak console that I got. It's really interesting. I've kind of been like learning how it works, and one of the things that I think is cool is that, so I'm playing on an actual cartridge, the cartridge that I bought, and I don't know, Richard, maybe you can speak to this for the Retron. I don't know if it does this, but something I really like about the Retro Freak is that you can create a save state on the console and load the game that way. But you can also just save directly to the cartridge. So I have, I'm kind of lousy with these systems now. So I also got this thing, the Analog Pocket, which I love. It's a really, really nice design. Has like a beautiful backlight. It can play Game Boy Color, GBA, and then I think like Game Gear too, like it can play some other stuff, but it works the same way. So it's like I was going to call it a heritage console, legacy console is what I was going for, kind of like the Retron or the Retro Freak. But you can actually play on it. So what I could do is I can play on the Retro Freak, save my game onto the cartridge, and then play it on the analog if I travel or something like that. So I've been trying to get more into these legacy consoles because it just feels so good to play on these old cartridges, and it actually incentivizes me to like go out and look for them and actually continue to collect old console stuff, because I love the old consoles too. Like I have this here too, like a Game Boy Color, which is very nostalgic. You know, it's funny, the Game Boy Color versus the Analog Pocket. So when I got this Game Boy Color recently, I was laughing because it was so small. It was so small. And in my memory, of course, like it was the biggest thing in the world. So cool thing that the Analog Pocket does is that it kind of shows you the Game Boy Color or the Game Boy Pocket like in your memory what it looked like, because it's just this beautiful LCD screen. It fits in your hands because you're an adult now and you have money to buy these legacy consoles. So anyway, just very pleased with it. So not getting any money from them or sponsored or anything like that, but if you're looking for a way to play these old games. It's a very cool way to do it. Okay, so we're going to teach Venusaur cut, and we got to be very careful here. There we go. Don't want to get rid of anything useful. I don't think the Retron has a save state option, at least not that I've noticed, but I agree, playing on the cartridge is so satisfying. Yeah, that's maybe that's the difference between, or the key difference between the Retro Freak and the Retron, because I've seen, like, most of the retro gaming Reddits and other, like, boards that I've read trying to get used to this one. Seems like Retron is obviously the more popular one, but I really like this feature on the Retro Freak because, I don't know, like, I'm not against emulation or ROMs or anything, right? But, you know, if you don't have the money to buy these, like, legacy consoles and play them that way, it's really difficult to play the cartridges, right? So sometimes emulation is, like, the only option that you have. And I've always maintained the position that it's like old piracy conversations where it's like, if things were readily available and able to be played in the way that they used to be, or in some other form or fashion, then, you know, people would be willing to pay for it, but just not the case. So I'm happy that I have these machines because it's a really nice way to play them and kind of get what I want out of them. Let's see. I recently bought 2 Game Boy Advance SP specifically to get all 150 Pokemon. Yep. The big appeal for the Retron was being able to play GBA games with a SNES controller. It accepts legacy controller ports. The Retro Freak is cool. So it came with this. It's like it's their kind of version of a SNES controller. But let me grab it because I don't have it set up because I don't have any of the controllers that would be usable on it. But one second. So it came with this adapter that you can plug into the system, and just looking at the ports on it, it looks like, so you can use like an old SNES one, you can use a NES one, you can also use, I think that's a GameCube, and then I think like the Sega controllers. So it's really nice. Gives you a lot of adaptability. And then the other thing that I got was this thing called the 8-bit Do, or 8-bit Do, maybe 8-bit Do because of Nintendo, which is like one of the many different like mod controllers you can get, which I'm very happy to have, especially because there's actually an adapter for that. So it looks like a Switch controller, like a Switch Pro controller, but what I really like about it is that it's meant, I think, for PC gaming and a lot of emulation. So there's all these different adapters you can get to it, but the coolest one is like a PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 adapter that I'm actually using on my PS2 to play Persona 1 and Persona 2, which I cracked down and bought. So I'm trying to stay as far away from emulation as possible, right? Not because I have anything against it, because I don't, but I would rather like have these things. It's always been the case where, especially because I love the history of Pokemon and the history of video games more broadly speaking, I just love the option to have these things. And it's expensive, but it's rewarding. So, like, here's my goal with Pokemon Green, right? Like, I have Pokemon Red, the original Japanese, coming, in a couple of days. I should have bought it in Japan, but hindsight's 2020. And I'm getting it because, here's the crazy thing, okay? So, Pokemon, so the Game Boy games are not region locked. However, I tried to trade between the Japanese version of green and the American or Western blue version that I have, and it did some really funky things. So I was able to get to the trade screen, which was cool. I was able to set that up. I have like the link cable and everything. So I was able to get that, but then when I went for the trade, like I was trying to evolve a Graveler, right? And when I went to do that, it changed the Graveler to a Mewtwo. So I think, oh no, I didn't save it. It changed the Graveler to a Mewtwo somehow, and I have no idea like what happened there. But apparently the conversation between the Japanese code and the English code must have like freaked out, and I imagine it was something similar to like the missing no glitch, where it's like, we don't know what to do with this, just make it Mewtwo. So that was weird. But I've got the Japanese Pokemon Red coming, because what I would like to do is I would like to do the original Pokemon Green and Pokemon Red, and get all of the I'd like to get all of the Pokemon for Pokemon Green. So here's my overarching plot for the channel. So I want to play through all of the games, and I have some ideas for some YouTube content, like video essay kind of stuff. So I'm going to be playing these games on stream as a way to kind of get B-roll footage, but also to just enjoy the games and enjoy your company, dear watchers. So we're going to do that. But then my goal is I want to have the through line be the blue version of every game. So on stream, I want to play through the blue version. So what I mean by that is, like, if you think of every Pokemon game, there's always a blue and a red, right? So I explained last stream that green is kind of blue in Japanese, which is why blue version for us was the updated version of green, and then they got that. But if you think about it, like gold and silver, the color palette for gold is more red, the color palette for silver is more blue. Sapphire and ruby is obvious, blue and red. Diamond and pearl is a little trickier, but if you think of like diamond as being kind of a clear, transparent, shiny thing, and pearl being a more iridescent, kind of like what light comes off it. Anyway, it's maybe the hardest one to do, but they're technically blue and red. Black and white, blue and red color palettes. Let's see. X and Y, I mean, it's just down to the legendaries. Like, you look at that, like Xerneas is blue, Yveltal has a red color palette. And then same with Sword and Shield, Zamazenta and Zacian. And then Scarlet and Violet makes it a little more easy. But what I would really like to do is I would like to play through... Sun and Moon. Right. Hot and cold. Blue and red. Red and blue. So what I would like to do is I would like to play the blue version on stream. So I'm kind of doing that now. And then I want to have the red version off stream so that I can get Pokemon that I need to trade. And just kind of have that be like the Pokemon farming version, right? So the goal would be to play through all of the games. My goal would be to do green and red in Japanese, then blue and red in English. So the next game I played would be blue, and I would probably do yellow as well, and then gold and silver, and on and on and on, right? So I would love to play through all of them and have them all saved so that I have this B-roll for these videos that I would like to make on YouTube, right? So that's the plan, and I've been thinking about it for a while, and I think it would be a lot of fun because I love streaming, but I also love doing more long-form written content, and I feel like I'm like leaving ideas on the table by not doing that. So stay tuned. As always, I'm going to keep streaming and get things going. My blue playthrough. And my hope is that starting in my Western blue and red playthroughs, that I'll have a Gengar that I can bring through every Pokemon game. That would be a lot of fun. Like, trade him throughout the years, because I know you can do it up to a certain point. So that's the idea. But right now, after all that yammering on, we're going to get a bike. Oh, do I not have enough room? Okay. Yeah, thank you. I'm looking forward to it. I got a. It's funny, like I feel like I'm back in my film student days, because I ended up getting Final Cut and Final Draft to make video editing a lot easier and script writing a lot more fun. So I've started on a couple of things, and what I want it to do basically is look like Pokemon Rose, my radio show, but give it more video content. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it anyway, which is fun enough for me. All right. Let's get rid of the ticket. Okay. That should be enough room to get my bike. Nice. It's funny, not that I really need the bike when I can go this speed, but I tell you what, it's fun all the same. Alright, so my Pokemon party right now, I have Venusaur, Nidoking, Gyarados, and Pikachu. Though Pikachu will be leaving soon, I just have him to use Flash for the upcoming cave. What I would like to do is replace Pikachu with Jolteon for my electric-type Pokemon, because I love Jolteon. My goal is Venusaur, Nidoking, Lapras. I'm going to replace Gyarados with. Maybe. Lapras is nice because Lapras can learn ice moves. It's like one of the only Pokemon who can. But I might... What I might do instead, because I'm going to have Snorlax too, what I might do instead of Lapras is have Snorlax in there, teach Snorlax Blizzard, because Snorlax can learn it, and then keep Gyarados, because I like Gyarados more than Lapras. Lapras is a good party member to have for the ice, and she can learn Psychic too, which is really cool. I know you'll have big plans and a lot on your plate, but if you ever want to make a movie review based oh, I would love to, Richard. I still want to do Final Fantasy now that I'm back in the States. I don't know if you're still interested, but I would love to do that. I think that would be a lot of fun. And, yeah, I would love to do... Yeah, movie review content would be a lot of fun. Especially because I feel like I had a system when I was younger for, like, movie reviews on YouTube that it didn't work then, but it would work now, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like, not that I was ahead of my time, but just that my format was better suited to now. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff I'd like to do this year. Basically, I play video games every day, so my hope is that I have kind of a game that I can play on stream, like Final Fantasy. Um, and then, kind of like projects going, so. I know, yeah. It's, I feel like you and I work very similarly. Like, you have the title's too good. You can't, like, not do something with the title. So I'm totally with you. That's a gem that you came up with. So yeah, I'll DM you after stream when I'm on my hike. Maybe we can come up with a plan, because I know your schedule's a little tough. So we'll just come up with something that works. But yeah, I would love to do that. In fact, might be fun to play this on stream. I ended up getting Final Fantasy 5 and 6 for the SNES, or for the Famicom. And man, just like, again, beautiful box artwork, everything kept as it was when it was sold, 20 plus years ago or whatever. So really cool. The other exciting thing, and this is minor, but I've never done this before, and I felt compelled to do it. So shout out to, his name is Pablo Vester. It's just at Pablo Vester on Twitter and Instagram. But I commissioned him to do some artwork that I've been using for my profile picture. And I love it. It's like my Pokemon trainer character with Gengar and Gligar. So really love it. He did an amazing job. Not only was the finished product like exactly what I was hoping for, but he did it so quickly, and it was really impressive. So shout out Pablo Vester, and thank you. I really love that art that you did for me. Gotta support artists, that's for sure. Alright, we're gonna swap out. Oh, this is Venusaur Sprite, by the way, which I love. We'll switch out for Gyarados, since we're in Rock Cave here. Oh, there we go. Nice. Yeah, that's why I chose him. So I was looking specifically for the Ken Sugimori watercolor artwork, and yeah, he just had like this great catalog of all these commissions that he had done, and I thought it was just it was perfect. So yeah, really awesome, and I'm really grateful for it. Really nice guy too. I wrote kind of I don't want to say like an overly detailed commission request, but I was very specific with what I wanted, and he nailed it in one. So just a testament to I forgot this was a trainer fight. Testament to how talented he was and is. That's one talent that I wish that I had. I wish I could draw, but never cultivated that. I feel lucky because I am talented when it comes to writing, I feel, but yeah, never had the hand-eye, I don't even know what you'd call it, like I would say the brain-to-hand coordination that you need for really nice hand-drawn art. I can see things in my head, but translating them to a blank piece of paper is not one of my strong suits. There we go. So I forgot how absolutely overpowered Nidoking is in this game, because once you give him Thrash, it's over. It's just an amazing attack. Basically, runs for, as far as I can tell, it runs for like 3 turns. I think it builds attack each time. I think. It's like a Berserker move, basically. It's kind of hard to tell because sometimes he just one-shots anyway, but runs for 3 turns, and then after the 3 turns, Nidoking comes out of it confused, but that is a small price to pay for just like sweeping enemy trainers. Now, one of the things that we're coming up on, I'm going to turn the music back on because we are getting to, can anybody tell me, ding ding ding, that's right, Lavender Town. And I am so curious what the music sounds like, because this game, so obviously this is like the first release of this generation of Pokemon on Pokemon Green. What I don't know is whether this predates the change that happened to Lavender Town and to the music. We're going to find out, though, because that is definitely something that I was curious about. Have I written anything recently or anything you're excited to put down on paper? So, yes and no. I haven't written anything video game analysis related, but I have a novel that I'm working on that I've been putting together for like the better part of 3 years, and I'm finally kind of putting pen to paper on it. And I'm really excited about it because it's a lot of the different influences that I love kind of coming together, like a lot of my favorite things that I've talked about on podcasts and other shows, in a way that I feel like isn't just masturbatory, I guess is the right way to put it. Like I'm not just, stroking my ego or just putting in a bunch of like references to things that I like. It's a story that I'm very proud of that's kind of takes cues from my life. It's so to kind of pitch it, I'm not going to go into a lot, but I'll hook it, or I'll hook you by saying what the general premise is. So, in a town called Rye by the Way, short for Rye by the Way Station or Way Anchor Point, there is no crime. There is the lowest reported crime statistics, not just in the neighboring area for this small New England town, but for the entire country. Namely, it's so low, there is no reporting of violent crime. There is no reporting of theft, murder, assault, nothing like that. And yet, it seems like a lot of people go missing. Or, more specifically, a lot of people go missing and no one remembers. So, people start disappearing, and only one guy in the town, our main character, a guy named Cal, seems to know that people are disappearing. No one believes him. Nobody is willing to go along with him on it. But he's convinced that there are people who used to exist who no longer do. Or at the very least, people don't remember them. And we come to find out that this has been going on a lot longer than anybody even realizes. So that's kind of the setup. The hook I'll give you is there's a character in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure who I love. It's a villain character named Kira, Yoshikage Kira. And Yoshikage Kira is a serial killer. And in my opinion, he has an ability that makes him more terrifying than any other JoJo villain. So more terrifying than Dio, than Pucci, Cars, like any number of them, right? And his ability is only terrifying because of who he is as a person, namely a serial killer, he can completely disintegrate anything he touches. So to me, that really struck a chord with me because I think it's terrifying to think of a serial killer who can completely eliminate any evidence or trace of their crime. So that got me thinking, what would be scarier than that? What would be worse than that? And in my opinion, the only thing worse than erasing any evidence of the crime would be erasing evidence of the person that you killed. Not just in terms of physical remains, but in terms of how people remember that person, or if they remember them at all. So, this story, which I've yet to come up with a name for, is about this main character trying to figure out what's going on and how this serial killer is doing this. So, put a lot of thought into it. Been thinking about it for like 3 years. It's one of those things that it's one of those ideas that like hasn't left my mind. Like I keep thinking about it. Things keep coming up, or like even cooler, I'll have ideas, like general ideas, for stories or like moments or something like that. And the coolest thing is, I've been able to kind of fit every one of those ideas that I've had into this story that I would like to tell. So usually what I found that I used to do when I was younger is I would get really excited about an idea. And I think, Richard, you and I have talked about this, like this phenomenon. I would get really excited about an idea. I wouldn't do much with it or anything with it. And then I would have another idea and I'd be like, oh, that's what I want to do, right? And then I would kind of pursue that for a bit and then maybe give it up. But with this one, anytime I have that idea that's like, oh, that's another cool idea, let me think about that for a bit, I always get to the point where I'm like, oh, I could put that in this other story. Like that could be a chapter, that could be a character, that could be a moment or a scene. So I'm just very excited about it because I've never been that committed, I guess, to a fictional piece of writing before. Definitely been committed to reviews and analysis, but never to like a story idea like that. The shiny new idea, I know. I think the secret for me, at least with this one, is like the shiny new ideas kind of fold back in on the older idea, which is new territory for me, creatively speaking. So, oh, what am I doing? Lavender Town. Okay. All right. Just gonna listen to this creepypasta type music here for a second. This is weird, isn't it? Okay, let's go over here. Let's listen to this music. So happy. Let's listen to the Pokémon Center music. Lovely. And then Lavender Town. Nice. I think the takeaway for me on this, and thank you, Richard, for being excited. I'll keep you posted as I keep writing it. But the fun thing to me about this, it does so much with few notes. It's so jarring. Like, one of my favorite things to do is reverse engineer horror stuff, to try to figure out like how you might have gotten there. And to me, like this, okay, let's reverse engineer creepypastas about Pokemon, right? As far as I'm concerned, like, of course this would, you set like the creepypasta in Lavender Town, or you make like the, what is it, Pokemon Black, I think that's like the Pokemon creepypasta, whatever it is, right? And you make Lavender Town and the Pokemon Tower like a centerpiece of the horror, right? And of course you do, because as a kid, like, you're going along happy-go-lucky, hey, everything's fun, I'm going through this funky cave, everything's crazy, and I'm having a good time, I'm a 10-year-old going on a Pokemon adventure. And then you get into Lavender Town and that music starts up, and you're just like, oh, wait a minute, this feels very different from my quirky Pokemon adventure that I was on just a minute ago. And I think that it's obvious, like, why this stuck out, because it's such a... I mean, it's like a sore thumb, right, in this game. I mean, terrifying. I don't even know if it's terrifying. It's just weird. That's the best part. That's the best part about it. It's like, okay, I would be lying if I told you, like, this scared me as a kid, because it never did. But I do remember how weird it was. Like, it was a weird thing that this music started playing. And I think I would have seen the episode of the anime when Ash goes to a haunted house to get a ghost Pokemon to beat Sabrina. But that was, like, played up for laughs as, like, this kooky haunted house adventure. And then, you know, this music, I don't think shows up in the anime. I could be wrong. But, like, this, you know, you have that kind of funny, like, oh, Haunter's like a... Ghastly Haunter and Gengar are, like, tricksters and pranksters, and they're having a fun time. And, you know, everything's kind of fun, and Sabrina's really creepy in the anime, but... because she, like, speaks through a doll. You know what? As I'm saying this, maybe I was creeped out. I don't know. I don't remember. But at any rate, I think it's worth noting that this is a very popular weird thing that came out of this very popular game series for obvious reasons. Spooky stuff for kids is such an interesting concept, such a tightrope walk between being too scary or goofball. I know. I think, you know, the example of that is Goosebumps or Are You Afraid of the Dark, because it just goes back and forth between like, oh, sorry, I was just reading, this is Hydro Pump, I do want that. It goes back and forth between being, like, genuinely scary and then really silly and goofball, as you say. So, like, did you watch either of those, Richard? Because I watched both of them, and I don't know that it got me into horror, but it was definitely, like, something I liked and felt like I shouldn't be watching when I was a kid. And there was a I think it's lost media now, actually. Wait a minute. Okay, I'm gonna play some music while I look this up, because there was a show, or it was like a made-for-TV movie, Nickelodeon horror show, lost media. Crybaby Lane. Yes. Okay. Crybaby Lane is a Halloween-themed comedy horror made-for-TV film that originally aired on Nickelodeon's television block Snick, Saturday Night Nick, on the night of October 28th, 2000. After its premiere, it was never released on any form of home media or aired outside of the United States, and wouldn't be aired again for over a decade. So I remember this was advertised like crazy, and I was so excited for it because it looked terrifying, and it was like just that level of, okay, you almost like, you trusted Nickelodeon to not scare you too much because it was Nickelodeon. And, like, the worst thing that you maybe saw on Are You Afraid of the Dark was The Tale of Dead Man's Float, which is arguably scary for adults, but, you know, it was goofy, it was silly. And Crybaby Lane comes out. Let me read this plot synopsis. A young Andrew and his older brother Carl conduct a seance in their local graveyard in an effort to impress a group of girls. Unknowingly, they release the soul of a dead Siamese twin. Whatever the evil twin touches turns evil, and by the next day, havoc is wreaked upon the town. After Carl becomes possessed, Andrew travels to Crybaby Lane and cuts the root out of the heart of the good twin to end the effects of the evil twin's reign of terror. Criticism and Nickelodeon's response. The film's original premise was to be both scary and child-friendly. However, the airing was speculated to have invoked an extreme number of parents to complain en masse about the film's content, as they had found the film to be too inappropriate for children. This allegedly caused Nickelodeon to state that they did not own the film, and were not. That's funny. Hey, man, it's not ours. They did not own the film, and were not responsible for its accidental, in quotes, airing, with some workers even denying the existence of the film. However, some claim that they were aware of it when contacted by forums and sites from 2007 to 11. They were definitely aware of it, because it wasn't a fluke that they played it. They hyped it up. Like, it was specifically like a big Halloween event. I remember the commercials. They made it very clear, like, this is the scary thing we're doing for Halloween. I think it was probably like an Are You Afraid of the Dark marathon, and then this thing, Crybaby Lane. And it's weird that they said, like, oh yeah, it's not ours. But, like, what do you mean it's not yours? Like, if no one has ever been able to find this afterwards, or like for a decade, like, if it wasn't yours, the people who made it would have released it or produced it or something, you know? So anyway, such a scary concept. Siamese twins is not a widely used trope. Yeah, I know. It's, and if I remember correctly, like, I remember I found it years ago because I had this, this phase where I was really into lost media, and I remember watching this movie. I remember, like, where I was in my grandparents' guest room. They had a TV in there, and I was able to watch Snick, because I watch Snick all the time, for, like, all that, and Keenan and Kel and stuff like that. So it was on, like, that programming block. And I remember the commercials, because it was, like, I can see, like, the not the alleyway, but, like, the cornfield that they go down to find this old route. Like, I can see that very clearly in my head. And, yeah, I think, if I remember right, it ends kind of on a bad note, too, because when they go to find, like, the evil twin, and stop them, I think it's revealed that, the one that they stop wasn't the evil twin, it was the good one, and the evil twin had tricked them into cutting the heart of the good twin so that there was no, like, counterbalance to his evil. So, yeah, pretty scary. I think it's basically like Stephen King's The Dark Half, only for kids. I don't know, I guess I feel kind of bad for kids now, because when I was young, like when I was that age, the internet wasn't as prevalent as it is now, and so there was this kind of great liminal space where things like that could exist both really and also in your head, and you were never sure which was which, right? Because the only way that you might be able to figure out if it was real is if somebody else has a memory of it, or if you look up on a forum. I think we're the same age, Richard. I'm pretty sure. Snick was, they called it, it was like Saturday Night Snick. And it was like where all of the, like, they didn't play cartoons, it was all the live action shows. So all that, Keenan and Kel, Clarissa Explains It All, maybe? Let me see, now I'm curious. Hang on, put the music back on as I delve into my nostalgia for old Nickelodeon shows. Nick was great because we didn't have cable, and Nickelodeon was like, for some reason... No. We didn't have cable at my house, so the only time I would watch it is when I would spend the night at my grandparents' house. So Friday night, I would watch normal, like, cartoons on Nickelodeon, and then if I stayed Saturday night, it was Snick, and that's when I watched the more, like, live-action stuff, like Are You Afraid of the Dark? Snick Programming Guide. What did we watch? Let's see. 2-hour programming block on the American cable television Nickelodeon, geared towards an older preteen to teen audience. It went from 1992 until 2005. Wow. So it had... Yeah, Clarissa Explains It All, Are You Afraid of the Dark? The Adventures of Pete and Pete. That's right. All that. Oh, On Air Dare. Nickelodeon Guts, I think, was part of it too. Keenan and Kel. Yeah, so it wasn't a long block. It was only like the 2 hours, but looks like, did they bring it back? Since the block's 2011 resurgence, Snick has returned to T-Nick 3 times. That's funny. People like me getting nostalgic for Keenan and Kel. Which admittedly was a pretty funny show at the time. Good observation about kids' horror. Now there's definitely spooky stuff directed at kids, but today it seems more passive, like Let's Plays of games and stuff, as opposed to random surrealist experiences. Yeah, there's something, I think, like more... it's more transparently a communal experience, where, like, because YouTube is so big, like, the people who grew up on, like, Five Nights at Freddy's Let's Plays, everybody knew Markiplier and MatPat, right? But for you and, well, for me, and I'm assuming you, Richard, and people in our general age bracket, it felt way more like, okay, maybe me and my friends know about this if I talk to them about it, but it's also totally possible that they missed something, so they didn't see it, or they thought I was lying. I think that's like, that's the fun stuff. But you know, I talk about it on Pokemon Rose with oh, Raichu sprite's the same, very nice. I talk about it on Pokemon Rose with the missing no cheat, right? Where it's like, okay, somebody tells you about the missing no cheat, which is impossible to wrap your head around as a kid anyway. Like, you have no idea how the missing no cheat works, or like what's even happening with the game code, because you don't know what game code is, so you don't understand that what you're doing is basically messing up the sprite placement and then messing with the game code so that it spits out this Pokemon that shouldn't exist, right? So you don't know that that's happening. But then it turns out the really crazy thing is that it works. And all of a sudden, because the missing no thing works, you start thinking, oh man, does that mean that Mew under the truck is real? Does that mean that trading a Pokemon at a certain level will make it turn into a different evolution that no one's ever seen before? Like, that's the kind of stuff that I love, that I feel like you can't really get now because things are so easily debunked, or, you know, it's so clear when something is not true. Or if a kid believes it, like, they really very quickly are kind of disabused of that illusion, right? So, I don't know. I just think it's something cool that we got to do. And I'm sure there's some version of that. Like, Random, if you're still on, I would love to know, because I know I'm probably like 10, 15 years older than you. So if you're still here, I would love to know like what your version of playground rumors that turned out to be true or not was. But, well, Snick ended in 2005. I was only 4 at the time, so it makes sense I didn't see it. Oh, I'm okay. I'm significantly older than you then. I didn't realize that. I thought we were the same age. But because our reference pool is so similar, but maybe you just like what I like. That's funny, because then I'm thinking of Stefan. Stefan, okay. I was going to say, like, all right, so we're the same age then. I was going to say, like, you're playing a trick on me, because I was going to say, like, all right, then you, me, and Stefan are tiered equally in terms of, like, age gap, so that's funny. But the thing about Snick, it was like the WB. Like, I didn't have it at home. It was something that I had to go to like my grandparents' house or a friend's house to watch. So it was already this limited thing, this limited access thing that I didn't know about. All right, let's infiltrate. So I want to put a pin in kids' horror because I feel like that could be a fun conversation. But real quick, for posterity's sake, I want to explain want to explain what's happening in Celadon City. So this is the first glimpse at the broader Pokemon story that's happening kind of behind the scenes. So Team Rocket, well, let me back up. So we've seen Team Rocket before at Mount Moon when they were trying to get Moonstones for who knows what reason, right? But they were trying to get Moonstones there. And the next time we see them is here in Celadon City. Well, technically the next time we see them is one of them stealing the TM dig from a house, but, presumably so that he could dig underground into somebody's home and steal things, which is a pretty good ability for a crook. But the next time we see them, or this current time, is here in Celadon City at the Game Corner. So we hear that they're doing something at the Pokemon Tower, but we can't get up to the Pokemon Tower because without the Sylph Scope, we can't see ghosts, and there's a ghost that's blocking the way. So we need the Sylph Scope to be able to see ghosts and get up to Pokemon Tower because something's afoot at Pokemon Tower. But before we can go there, we have to go to Celadon City because there's no way for us to progress into Pokemon Tower without this thing called the Sylph Scope. So we go to this Game Corner, and we see that there's a rocket grunt in the back of it. Come to find out, the Game Corner, the casino, is taken, not taken over, it's owned by Team Rocket. Shady mafia group owning a casino, nothing too weird there. But what we don't quite understand at this point is that it's a front for making money, obviously. Why does Team Rocket need money? Well, aside from there being just mafiosos and wanting money, what they're really after is power. And so here we are in this place, not only getting money by swindling people out of their cash at a casino, but we're also having this front for this thing called the Sylph Scope, something that we've, as Team Rocket, either stolen or have commissioned the Sylph Company into making. It's not super clear. Odds are we stole it, though. And the reason, ostensibly, that we have stolen it is so that we can see the ghosts of Pokemon Tower. But that's kind of a weird way to end that. Like, why do they just want to see ghosts? Well, ghosts are strong against psychic Pokemon, right? So we'll put a pin in that, but ghosts are one of the only weaknesses that psychic Pokemon have, especially in this generation. It's Ghost and Bug are the only two things because they are fears. And so psychic Pokemon are more prone to being afraid of things because of their heightened mental abilities. So that's why that weakness exists. But what we need to know for the story at this point is that Team Rocket wants the Sylph Scope so they can see ghosts, because there's something at the Pokemon Tower that they want. There's at least one thing at the Pokemon Tower that they want. There might be one thing and one person who may be able to lead them to something else that they want. But there we go. That's the Pokemon breakdown for this point in the game. Back to children's horror. So many opportunities for accidental scary things or what ifs. Yeah, that's what I loved, is it just lent itself to playground stories being real. And I think that I don't know if that happens now. I hope it does, because it's a cool thing, but I don't know. That time may have passed. Let's do this. Okay. And I'm saying, like, we had that blurry line between reality and fiction. But as I'm saying that and thinking specifically of creepypastas, I'm thinking of Morgan Geyser and Anissa Weir, the Slenderman girls. I'm thinking of how many people were actually scared by something like Jeff the Killer, which is saying a lot, because I don't know if you've read that, but not exactly thrilling horror fiction. So I don't know. Maybe I'm underestimating the persuasive power of the internet. I'm sure I am, in fact. I just think, at least in terms of video games, right? Like, it's probably a little harder to get somebody to believe like a glitch or a cheat, because it's so easily debunked. Wasn't that way back when we were kids. One thing I do want to see is, since this is technically blue version, I'm imagining we have Pinsir and not Scyther. I'm just going to check the game corner to see, because you can buy that Pokemon, Pinsir or Scyther, depending on the version you have. It's a good question. I assume the first horror thing to really resonate with you has a huge impact, good or bad. Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's absolutely true. Jeff the Killer creepypasta probably brings you to a really specific type of horror stuff. Yeah, the kind of like the kind of campfire horror, or like what's a good word for it? I was going to call it layman horror, but that seems like I'm being snooty. Like urban legend horror, I guess, right? Like the kind of stories that you get from people around the campfire or something. Just got bitten by a pigeon. Speaking of horror stories. That would be a funny horror story, a were-pigeon. I'm sure there's something similar to that around somewhere. Technically, it wasn't a pigeon. What does that mean? He looks like... Was this a man? A man who looks like a pigeon? Or just a different bird? Because now my were-pigeon story is kind of coming to fruition here. Oh, gray parrot. Okay, those guys are tough. Those are some surly birds. No Joke wrote a script about a pigeon man once called The Wing. I love it. You could do something there. That's, yeah, I can see it. Birds are freaky, man. I mean, Alfred Hitchcock got it right. You know why? Because we know that they used to be dinosaurs. And I think they also know that, kind of in their dumb little bird brains. And I feel like they're pissed about it. Like they have just enough wherewithal to be upset. That would be my guess. Whoever invented birds needs a pay talk. Write a complaint. Alright, let me just check real quick. I don't know what this guy's name is. Kairosu. What is that? Is that Pinsir? Kairos Pokemon. Yes, okay, it's Pinsir. Shame, I would have gotten it if it's Scyther, but you know what I'm going to do? I am going to use up all my money to get enough for a Dratini, because now that I'm thinking about it, I need a Pokemon that can fly, so kind of hard to beat Dragonite. 4,600. Okay. Alright, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tape down the turbo button on this SNES controller, and I'm going to run to the bathroom, so you all will see this. I'll leave the music on too. Wait. There we go. Alright. Oh. Does it know my scheme? It's not really a scheme. I'm just buying. Shoot. Okay. Then enjoy the music while I go to the bathroom anyway. I'll be right back. So, on top of using the bathroom, I got my 5 million vitamins for the day. Alright, what's been happening in the chat? I despawned. I already once murdered 67 donkeys because they were blocking a plane. Look, that was justified, okay? I needed to get on that plane. Sure, I could have driven the 2 hours, but am I going to drive if I can take a 30-minute plane ride? Come on. He swallows whole avocado pits as a fun party trick. Sometimes I do it even when I'm not at a party. Just so you know, like, get rid of the avocado pits. Alright. Now it's going to let me do this. So, if I were a speedrunner, which I'm not... Actually, I'm not even going to posit this, because I guarantee you it's not true. This would take too long. I was going to say, like, a good way to get, like, a pretty over-leveled character. Not over-leveled. Not over-leveled. Overpowered. Is to get the Stratini pretty early. I haven't eaten no avocado. You can't prove anything if you don't have the pit. It's the first rule in court. I think I'll have enough here. I hope I will. You know what I could do? I actually bought the Pokémon soundtrack, so this is... Maybe I'll just play that while we're here. Let me see. Then I can go turbo without having silence. That might be the play here. It'll be a little jarring maybe, but to hear music kind of out of order, but I should buy Pokemon, like the company. I don't know that I have the capital for that. Let me see. Mac OS, yes. There we go, okay. Cool. Okay. All right. Help me out. How does that sound? Too loud? That'll be the first stop. Someday very soon. Now this is funny because you guys know what's going on, that I'm playing the Pokemon soundtrack, but if anybody comes to this stream, they're going to hear very differing music. So that's good. I like a joke that only I laugh at. All right, so let's... Oh my god. I had a whole mission that I completely forgot because of my silly joke. There we go. This will give me a good reason to talk about music, though, when it's not happening. Can you guys hear me okay over the music? I turned it down and also turned the audio capture down, so hopefully it's not crazy. Hopefully that's okay. Music's not hearable. I need more money too. Alright, I can hear the music, so let's make sure. Go to advanced properties. Monitor off and output. How about now? Can we hear anything? I have it sharing through the music app, so... Still nothing, or we hearing music now? Nothing but my teacherish voice. Weird. Okay, hang on. Now I'm curious. What if I just do from the desktop? Hang on. Yeah, I'm not getting any waveforms here. It is always an adventure with audio. I feel like I'm pretty good at audio, and yet here we are. I'm just bad with applications. Okay, it claims that it's active, but I'm not seeing... Very strange. Audio input. No. Alright. I just turned the game music back on. Is that audible? Because I'm getting waveforms for that, so presumably that's okay. Okay, you can hear that. All right. We'll leave this on for a little bit. I'll use my bike to go fast. There we go. I'm curious then, because it's allowing me to see like it's on here, but wonder... Oh, do I have to turn that off first? Okay, I'm going to turn this off for a second. We're going to try this. Desktop audio capture. Okay, that's giving me a waveform. Can you guys hear the battle music right now? Because if we can just get music going, then yeah, it won't sync with the game, but it'll be nice to just hear that over my voice. Okay. Okay, I figured out what was going on. Cool. All right, how do I sound? Can you hear me over it? Don't want to take one step forward and two steps back here. I am battling the audio. Cool, because then it's not just me gabbing. Cool. All right, awesome. Well, good. And I don't think Twitch will get upset because I'm literally just playing the music from the game that I bought, so should be good. All right, what am I doing? We want Dratini. Do I have enough? No, I need 700 more. So that's 14,000. Let me see what's in my... This is going to be really funny to just hear this music. But you know what? We love comedy. We love it. The 6,000 one is Porygon. The only way to get Porygon in this game. And I will come back for it, but right now I just want to get Dratini so that we can be in a good spot. Not that we're in a bad spot with my current team, but... Yeah, so this is... And Dratini's name in Japanese is Miniryu, which means like mini dragon. So Dratini, right? Pretty one-to-one. Alright. Cool. This is actually, I'm going to say, the easiest way to get Dratini is just to buy it, because you can catch it in the Safari Zone, but the problem is it has a really low capture rate, and the Safari Zone, you can't use your Pokemon to weaken them, right? So it makes it more difficult. So to save us some time, we'll just get Dratini there. Good. Now let's go beat the gym leader. Who do I want to use? I'll just keep using Nidoking. Kind of can't go wrong. All I know is Beepa is my favorite Japanese Pokemon. Yeah. Yep. A lot of them are really funny. Their names in Japanese. Some of them are better puns too. Like so I actually just realized in this playthrough, so Graveler, which is like a good name for that Pokemon, I think, right? Geodude is a play on Geode. Graveler is like, you know, he's a traveler, but he's made of gravel, right? Because he can move around. So that's fun. But his Japanese name is just Goron, which is like Goron from Zelda, right? Which means like Goro Goro means to roll. So like that was a fun one. I think Oddish's name just means weird grass, which is funny. Like spooky grass or something like that. So that's a good name for Oddish. Especially since, you know, Oddish is like an odd radish, right? Weird grass. Fushigidane is like, it's like weird. I think it's another weird plant thing for Bulbasaur. Which Bulbasaur doesn't really reflect, like that name isn't really a pun, but its Pokedex entry is pretty close, which is a strange seed was planted on its back the day it was born, right? So the other thing, speaking of favorite Pokemon, my brain's all over the place. But so I was playing Violet today, off stream, just collecting Pokemon for the Pokedex, and I'm going to be going back to Violet. I think probably I may just play it. So after I go to the gym and hike and stuff, I may just come back and play it on stream, because I want to do the epilogue. I've decided that I'm not going to wait around to get all the Pokemon, because it's going to take a while, and I want to know what happens in the epilogue. So I figure I'll do that, and then I'll round out Pokemon Violet with finishing up the Pokedex. Oh, the goofiest looking Pokemon. There's a lot of contenders for goofiest looking Pokemon. We just saw one of them. Tangle is pretty goofy. Let me think. I'm going to go by generation, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to wrangle myself. So for Generation 1, I think it's a tie between Jinx and Seal. So Jinx looks ridiculous and borderline racist, which we all know the story, you know. It's actually like a Japanese cultural thing, but it looked like Jinx was like Aunt Jemima in blackface, like worse blackface or something like that. So she's very silly looking, but I think Seal is the goofiest one to me because it's goofy on its own, but then it's also like just a seal, which is funny. There's no like, you know, Seal and Dugong are just animals. Like, we always make fun of Ekans for being just a snake, but like Seal and Dugong, like, it doesn't even like reverse their names. It's just, those are two animal names. So anyway, I think that's probably the silliest one. Plus I think he's kind of super goofy looking on his own. So yeah, there's him. In Gen 2, it's either Dunsparce or Wooper. I think probably Dunsparce, because Dunsparce looks ridiculous. But I love Dunsparce too. Oh, I must not have had room for the water. Superior T-posing. You mean, wouldn't superior T-posing just be like a like a nail, basically? That's pretty good. 3, Gen 3. Gen 3. Wow, there's a lot of contenders in Gen 3. Did Spinda come from Gen 3? I think Spinda's Gen 3, right? I'd probably say Spinda. And then Gen 4 is Bidoof. Bidoof wins, always. Good old Bidoof. Gen 5, I'm going to have a hard time not thinking of Superior. Superior T. Hang on. Alright, I got to look it up. T-pose. Yep, okay. That's exactly what I was hoping for. Perfect. Ekans has one too. That's pretty great. Let's see. Boop, 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 boop. I'm just getting rid of some stuff here. And by getting rid of, I mean putting it in my PC. Something I never did as a kid, by the way, was use this. I just threw everything away. Rayquaza T-posing with his little arms, too. At least he has little arms. Yeah, Rayquaza... Okay, that might win. If we're talking T-posing, there's a lot of new challengers have approached. Elevator key, we don't want that. Self scope we want to keep. Alright, good. That's pretty much everything. me see. uh, that's awesome. That's teamwork right there. All right. Oh, no. I got to get the water. When I was a kid, there were a few points, and I was reminded of them playing through this. So there were a few points in the game that I just got absolutely stuck at when I was a kid. I had no idea what to do. So one of the first ones was I didn't know that you had to deliver that parcel to Professor Oak at the beginning. So I felt like I was stuck in Viridian City because I didn't know to go back to Professor Oak, even though the game tells you. Another thing is this one, getting the water for the guard so that you can pass through here. Took me forever to figure that out. He lost the sword. At least his friend Superior is there to help him. Which is kind of lovely when you think about it. Don't worry, bro. I got you. One of the cool things about this, you know what, let me get it, because there's a lot of stuff that I got in Japan that I haven't shown off yet. Let me get this. It's right over here. So, I got this soundtrack, and it's got the original, like, red, green, and blue music, but then it also has the Fire Red and Leaf Green soundtrack too. And it's all curated by Junichi Masuda, the composer he's been the composer forever on Pokemon. And a lot of these tracks are cool because it'll be like, you know, the battle music, but then he'll overlay attack sounds and like Pokemon cries into it, which is pretty cool. I'm going to skip this one because this one, even as a kid, drove me crazy. There we go. Perfect for Pokemon Gym. I'll take the pun. Yeah, I was pleased. So as we were leaving Japan, we were approached by Asahi TV to do an interview, which was really fun. They wanted to know what foreigners were buying in Japan because the yen right now is very weak. It's like, I think it's like 146 yen to $1 or something. So it means that the dollar basically has like $1.50 worth of buying power in Japan right now, which is awesome. And it's also like things in Japan are cheaper on average anyway, so the dollar is very strong over there right now. So they wanted to know what foreigners were, you know, spending our money on, right? And so Aaron and I were interviewed for Asahi TV, and I had like my big suitcase full of Pokemon stuff, basically, like video game stuff, right? I got a bunch of video game stuff. And it was so funny because the interviewer, this guy was my age, he kept saying, "Oh, natsukashi, natsukashi," which means like, "Oh, so nostalgic, so nostalgic." Because I would pull out like these things, and when I pulled out this, like, he was excited because it was the music, and it would be, you know, one thing after the next. He was just so excited to see it. So it was fun to me that, like, you know, even though this stuff is pretty readily available over there, like, it's still nostalgic for people who haven't seen it in a while. So it was a lot of fun, and I'm hoping I can get hold of that broadcast because they let us know that we'd have a good chance of being on, so that would be pretty fun. What's his name? Ebiwara. What is the pun there? That's fun. Hitmonchan's name, Ebiwara. What's the pun? Oh, cool. All right. It's named after Hiroyuki Ebihara, who was a professional boxer. I didn't know that. There you go. All right. So Hitmonchan's Japanese name Ebiwara. Right? Oh no, maybe that's Ebifara. Ebihara. Maybe it's just his name. That's great. If you had 1,000,000 yen, would you still be a millionaire? No. I mean, you wouldn't be hurting for money, for sure, but let's see, like 1,000,000 yen. An easy way to get a ballpark of what the currency exchange is you just lop off the last 2 zeros. So 1,000,000 yen to USD. Yeah, so I mean you'd have a good amount of money, but not anywhere near $1 million. You'd have about $7,000. So yeah, so if you brought $7,000 to Japan right now, you would be able to exchange it for 1,000,000 yen. Which is cool to say, but yeah, when you're talking like people who are rich, it's more like hundreds of thousands of millions of yen, basically. Like a billionaire yen is, or 1,000,000,000 yen is more close to what we would consider someone being a millionaire. Yeah, the easiest way to kind of think about yen is so we use like cents, right? We use percent of a dollar, so like 50 cents is half a dollar. They don't do cents, it's just 1 yen. So a yen is like a penny, basically. Although now it's worth way less than a penny. Alright, we gotta use Gyarados for the Pokemon Tower here. Kind of disappointed in how like Gyarados has bite doesn't work on them in this game. It's not dark yet. I think it's still a normal move. Gyarados has 21 levels up on this Ghastly and its dragon move isn't one-shotting it. That's very strange to me. Go to that fancy big store with the floors of stuff. I went to a few of them. Are you thinking of the 109 building in Shibuya? Because that's a very fancy building with floors of stuff. It's like the famous one. But yeah, we went all over. We went to a lot of places all over Japan. I mean, the ones where we got all the games and stuff, that was in Akihabara, or Akiba, which is kind of a famous place for anime and video games. It's like the place in Tokyo where you go to get anime, video games, and then like electronics. It's actually called the Electric City, Akihabara. The 109 building in Shibuya is a big fancy clothing department store. And it's funny because it shows up in like any game or show that is in Shibuya, you'll see either the 109 building or it'll be like a different number. So it'll be like the 104 building or the 107 building. Like you'll know that you're in an alternate universe if it's not the 109 building. I don't know, I just remember my brother saying he went to a store with many floors full of stuff with like cameras and oh yeah, well there's a place called Yodobashi Camera, which is like, it's like an amazing Best Buy or like electronics store, basically. Like I'm not sure what the electronics store in the UK is. I'm actually gonna look that up. I don't know what you guys have. What is it? UK electronics store. I don't know how reliable this is. Techno World. Looks like a big, like, hardware kind of place. Store like Best Buy. Let's see. Because I don't think you guys have Best Buy, right? Costco. Curry's PC World. Looks like Maplin's used to be a place. Curry's PC World. Okay. Just saw your message. Yeah, so it's like, you know, a place like that, right, where you can get computers and big appliances like dishwashers and laundry machines and stuff, but then Yodobashi Camera also has like all of the latest cameras and TVs, and they also have a ton of video game stuff, and it's a cool place. And on the top floors, there's a bunch of restaurants that are really good too. It's basically like a food court, but a much nicer one than at least we have in the States. I don't know about the UK, but you know, you kind of think of a food court as like a cheap place to go, but Japanese food courts are often very, very nice, with a lot of variety and a lot of really quality food. So usually I'll switch out my Pokemon to train them, but I don't know. Venusaur is kind of the lead special attacker, which is what you need for this place with all the ghost Pokemon. Yeah, I love that Ghastly's name is just Gosu. And I think Haunter's name is Ghostal. And then Gengar, of course, is Gengar with an A, doppelganger. Another cool place we went was, so there's Pokemon centers, like Pokemon stores that are called the Pokemon centers all over Japan. There's one in Tokyo, Kyoto. Actually, there's a couple in Tokyo. But they're really fun and they're amazing. You can get all kinds of cool Pokemon stuff in there, of course, but it's also just like fun to go to a place that's completely devoted to Pokemon. And at the Tokyo one, the DX Pokemon Center, we really wanted to get into the Pokemon Cafe, but we realized too late that it's booked out like months and months in advance, so... but yeah, he said there was like a floor of camera stuff and a floor of phones or something. That's what I gathered from him. Vague explanation is he just wanted to go home and sleep. Yeah, ton of great electronics. Like, it's the place to go. Akihabara, definitely. Were there any event mods? No, I wish there were, not that they were pushing, although, hang on, I can get, so, no event Pokemon, which would have been cool, but, they had, so, no event Pokemon, but they had, like a special release of, the latest, trading card set, and so I got like 10 packs, which, okay, so 10 packs in the States would be like $40 easy, maybe 50, right? This was like 10 packs of Pokemon cards was like 2,500 yen, so just a crazy amount. Maybe it was a special they had at the Pokemon Center, I don't know, but got a lot of cool Pokemon cards, so like got this awesome Cerule Edge that I love, which I don't think is rare. I don't think I got any like crazy rare ones. The nicest one I got was, I got this Mew EX card, which is beautiful. Hang on, there's really nice one that I liked. I was about to jokingly say this is fun content, but I'm unironically having a fun time showing these things, so it's my stream. I'll do what I want. I just think, okay, so this isn't like a special card or anything, but I just love the artwork on this Slowbro, or Yadoran, as he's called. They're so fancy. They're so much fancier than they were when I was a kid, I'll tell you that much. One thing I love, they're doing like this, they're doing these shiny ones. So you can see like this is a shiny Primeape, and I think they're not really rare. They're just like, I think it's like their special reverses, but this was awesome. So this is a shiny Espathra, but a full art EX, which is very cool. I looked it up. It's worth like $2, but it's still, I think, really neat. I just love the artwork that they do. I was happy about this. I got a Miraidon EX card because I love my boy. What was the one that I was thinking of? Can't remember. I must have shown it because... Anyway. I just thought that was neat, and I love the Japanese back of them, which I think changed years and years ago now, but at any rate. Let me see. Let me just catch up on chat. Goes to Japan a lot because his girlfriend is Japanese and she visits her. Oh, no kidding. Your brother. Oh, that's awesome. Good for him. That's a nice excuse to go when you have a girlfriend and their family, right? Have I ever considered opening Pokemon packs on stream? Those can be exciting. I haven't, but not until I just show these cards. But, I mean, I think because I'm kind of like, I want to be all things Pokemon on this stream, I'm certainly not against it. Here's what I would want to do for that, though. I wouldn't want to go in blind. I would want to do the research on the pack beforehand. And I love card collecting. Like, I do like Yu-Gi-Oh card collecting and stuff like that, or I did. I'm kind of into Magic. Aaron's way more into Magic with A Terrible Fate than I am, but I like Magic. Like, I go through phases where I really enjoy it and enjoy collecting it. I haven't really collected Pokemon, though, in a long time, which is funny, right? But I think it's... I would want to choose a set that I like, right? And I would want to find like a new one that's readily available that I could buy just like at Walmart or something like that, and then maybe buy some boxes because that would be fun. I'd have to get that setup that people do where it's like put my webcam in front of me, like so that you can see the cards as I'm opening them. That'd be fun. Yeah, maybe I'll just integrate that into streams, right? Like I'll start and stop with one. That would be kind of fun. Okay, so following up on our Pokemon lore, right? So not only were Team Rocket after the Pokemon in the Pokemon Tower, namely the ghosts, so that they could have a leg up on Psychic Pokemon, but they were harassing Fuji-san, Mr. Fuji. Why? Well, Mr. Fuji had quite the hand in creating a genetic Pokemon, trying to recreate Mew. So, Team Rocket is after the person who was doing genetic experimentation with the Pokemon Mew. Supposedly, the most powerful Pokemon in the world, at least at this point in the story. Put the Sylph Scope away. Don't need an awakening. Don't want health. What is that? Yoku Ataru. Well, I'm going to put that away. Another rare candy. And we'll leave the Poke Flute because we're going to go catch a Snorlax. Oh, should put Hitmonchan away. Alright, I'm going to deposit Gyarados. And I'm going to take out Ghastly. No, I don't want... Do 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 do. Where's oh, there he is. Okay. Bidoof could kill Mew with the right moves. I know. Well, in this gen, he's not even... I mean, Mew isn't even the most powerful in this game, because Mewtwo's more powerful than Mew. Mew is special in that he can learn every TM in this game, which is very cool. It's very useful, but... It's far easier to get Mewtwo and just lean on Psychic and his other moves. Alright, we're going to get Fly, thank you. We're going to catch Snorlax. It's another one of my absolute faves. Look at him. We love him. Nice. Cool. All right, that's going to be my team, basically. So, if Arcanine were in this game, I would probably use Arcanine instead of Dratini and Dragonite, but it's looking good. So yeah, so I'm going to teach Snorlax Surf, because he can learn that. I think that'll be better than Gyarados, because Gyarados was disappointing me quite a bit. The way my brother met his girlfriend was weird too. They met by running into each other at an airport, and then they both had the same flight. And turns out they had seats next to each other. Oh, it's like a rom-com. And then lovey-dovey stuff happens, and bam, we in 2024, and he's dead 90% of the time from flying. Does she visit him? Hopefully, it's a two-way street. It's not just him going all the way to Japan. Hopefully, she's making the trip to the UK too, because that can be tough if you're. I mean, well, okay. I guess now that I'm saying that, like if I had an excuse beyond just wanting to visit Japan to go to Japan, I probably would opt to go to Japan every time. But man, that's a long distance thing. But that's so cute, the way they met. That is like a movie. Sometimes it happens like that, really. Live together, but she visits Japan for her parents. Oh, got it. See him more. Oh, that's nice. I'm glad that her parents want to see him. That's nice. It's better than them saying, like, yeah, you don't need to come by. Just don't bring so-and-so. Very nice. Do you know where in, like, do they live in Tokyo? Because that's a really fun reason to go and visit and see the country. Especially with a family there. That's how I did it when I lived there. I was with my host family. Nice. Well done, Venusaur. So, we're going to go down and beat Koga. Because I'll get. Oh my god. Primate looking rough. Oh, here's a fun secret that I didn't know until recently. One sec, let me catch this. Doduo. So, all over the place. First, fun. Oh no. If I can do it without running into every single Pokemon here. Come on. Alright, it's like right here. There's a rare candy here. Like there's a hidden tile rare candy that I never knew. There it is. Neat. Fun, secrets, tips, tricks, hacks. Did you know? There is an item in this video game. Okay, that was the first thought. The next thought, we're going to... my brain firing on all cylinders. We're going to go beat Koga, because then I get the TM for Toxic, and then that's when we can do this amazing trick with Venusaur to do the Toxic Leech Seed stack, which makes Venusaur like the strongest of the starters, which is crazy to think about, but it's true. Not Tokyo. Hiraska? Let me see. Oh, okay. Hiratsuka with a T. Yeah, okay, that's pretty close. I've never been there. Looks really beautiful, though. Oh, it looks really nice. Maybe I'll go there next time. Oh, it's like right on the water. Oh, beautiful. I mean, everywhere in Japan is beautiful, to be honest. So it's always fun to find like a new place. That's really cool, though. Well, you ought to go. You ought to go, you know, make an excuse when you have some free time. Nice to have somebody who can show you around, you know? Japan is a really foreigner-friendly place, but it is always... Like, it's easy for you to get around on your own, even if you don't know Japanese, but it's always nice to have a tour guide, obviously. Makes it a lot more fun. I think the next time I'm going to go is... So Maddie, my fiance, and I, we're getting married in a month. It's going to be almost exactly a month. Month and 3 days we're going to be married, and we're going to go to Japan for our honeymoon, but we're thinking we're going to wait, because originally we were thinking we were going to go in like August, but then, you know, I did this trip and it was a nice long trip, and it would be nice to go in August because there's a couple of like ceremonies that I would like to see. There's this thing called Obon, which is like the Festival of the Dead, which is the last thing that I haven't seen really, because I feel like I've seen every other big festival that goes on in Japan, just having lived there and visited there and stuff. But we were thinking, like, for a honeymoon, it would probably be nicer to go during the sakura blossom season, which would be more around March and April. So we might wait till then, and that would be nice because then I could, not only could we save up some more and, like, have a really awesome time, but by then I'd have enough time off from my job that I could really, we could basically go for as long as we wanted, which would be perfect. I wouldn't trust my brother's girlfriend to be a tour guide. She would say something to someone and end up getting me shipped to like Iran or something. Well, one way or the other, you're getting an adventure. Congratulations. How did you meet your fiance? No, not too personal at all. And thank you. Yeah, so we met in college. We worked in the same dining hall. And so it was one of those really fun stories where we both really liked the other one, but we were too oblivious to realize that the other one liked us. So it was just kind of a comedy of errors for a while. But then, you know, we got together and we ended up being long distance for a while. But it was nice because it was not your typical long distance. So we met in New York, which is not the city, not New York City, but New York State, upstate New York, which is where we went to school. And then she left school and went home, and I stayed in New York. But luckily, home for us is really close. So she grew up 30 minutes away from where I grew up. And we didn't know that, right? Like, we met in college, but we had this kind of fun game where it's like, oh, did you go to this place? Did you go to that place? And we probably ran into each other before, but we didn't know it. Like, we didn't go to the same high school or elementary school or anything. But it was long distance, but it was manageable because, you know, our parents lived like 30 minutes from each other. So when I would go home to my parents, she would be at her home with her parents, and we'd be able to see each other pretty regularly. So that happened for a few years, and then I got my current job, which brought me down to Florida. So I was living in Florida on my own for, I think just under 2 years. So we were still long distance then, but then she moved in with me down there. And then COVID happened. So we always joke that we went from long distance to no distance very quickly. And luckily we handled both very well. So it's kind of proof that we liked each other, you know, which is good news when you're getting married to somebody. So yeah, getting married in just over a month. We're picking up our wedding bands tomorrow on Monday, I think. But yeah, we've been planning for a while now, so I know we were living in sin. So my Catholic grandfather would have had some words about it, but apart from that, you know, I figure I would rather that than, like, you hear these horror stories of people who get together who didn't live together at all, and I don't know, like, I feel like all those stories end with, and then we got divorced. So some people are lucky, but I don't know. I'm grateful that we had the time to realize that, like, we know how to live together, and, you know, we can tolerate each other outside of, like, dates, which is good news. So I was talking to somebody at work, and they were saying how, so he's divorced, but he got married really young when he and his ex-wife were still in college. They got married. And so, you know, they had no like experience living together, and it was just like a total mess, trying to figure out like how the other one operated for years and years, and then they just kind of called it, and they're like, well, this isn't going to work. So I feel like they would have saved a lot of time and money if they had just lived together for maybe like 6 months. But what do I know? I'm not here to give relationship advice. I can tell you what worked for me, but ends with that, or it ends with being on the walls as a fine paste. Yeah. You're so right. Yep. That's absolutely the way to do it. I can't imagine taking a gamble on something as big as living together. I know. I think, like, I get why people do it. I think, like, some people are just more confident. Not that... So here's the thing, right? Like, I think both Maddie and I wanted to live together, but I'm really happy that we had the time where we didn't, because here's like an important thing that, again, I'm not here to give relationship advice, but this is how I operate. So if you're similar, maybe it's the same. But I, despite doing streams and podcasts and, you know, radio and all that other stuff, I'm an introverted guy. Like, I need time on my own to recharge, right? So you're probably not going to catch me doing like 8-hour streams unless I'm really excited about a video game, because that's just not how my energy output works. And Maddie's very similar. So I think we had the benefit of kind of learning that about ourselves on our own before we moved in with each other. So for years when we were doing like long distance, you know, we would visit each other pretty regularly, see each other probably like at least 4 times a year for maybe a couple weeks at a time, right? So it was like, it was really a good amount of seeing each other and seeing each other in person and communicating over phone and Zoom and all that other stuff. But the kind of nice thing that being alone gave us was we learned how to be alone and like how to operate that way, which I think a lot of people don't take the time to do. They either don't want to be alone or they don't know how to take time for themselves. And I think that's super important, especially when you're in a relationship where both people like to be alone and kind of have that time to themselves. You need to be able to figure out, all right, how are we going to navigate this? Like, okay, I need, like, for an example, it's like, all right, Dan, like Mugen here, right? Like, I need 2 or 3 hours at night after work to just kind of like do nothing, talk to nobody. And I don't have to do that every night, but it's nice to do it, right? It kind of resets me. And Maddie's the same way, luckily, right? So after school or after class, whatever she's doing for her PhD program, she'll often just like, you know, sit and play her Switch or like watch YouTube videos quietly. And sometimes we do that together, where like we'll be in the same room doing our own thing quietly. Sometimes we do it apart, but you know, we developed like a really good shorthand for when we need to do that and when we need to or when we want to like do something together, right? So it's important to get that down. And I think if you do that when you're married already, I think a lot of people are able to do it successfully, but you have the kind of added pressure of, we are married, like this should work. And I just feel like it's a less relaxed. What is this? Are we doing the... Oh, fun. It's the Pokedex entries. I didn't realize those were on here. Sorry. We interrupt this relationship talk to bring you the Pokedex entry for Fushigi-dane. What was I saying? Anyway, yeah, I think we're lucky because we kind of figured out how we operate in a way that wasn't intrusive or annoying to the other person. So it worked out, is what I'm saying. What are we doing here? We'll put Persona music on. All right. Good. We'll change things up a little bit. Let's see. My brother and girlfriend have lived together for a solid year, but they're very different in ways of doing stuff. She always wants stuff to be a specific way, and he wants stuff to be a way. So that be happening, but then again, that's with any... Yeah, that is with anybody. She also locks him in the cupboard a lot, which I salute her for. Chill for a while, yeah. Sometimes, I mean, that's kind of what we do. Like, all right, I'm going to the office, you know. It's not a cupboard, but maybe one day. He does look... Yeah, doesn't it? I feel like there was a period where every Nintendo character kind of looked like Mario or Link. I love the Safari Zone as a concept, but things like this, there's no rhyme or reason to it. Let's give it some food. Nope. All right, he ran away. It's another thing I want to do is I got Persona 1 and 2, which cost me an arm and a leg, but worth it. And I want to play those games before Persona 3 Reload comes out, so I might do that on stream too. I have like the Pokemon adventure that I want to do, and then there's always other games that I'm interested in, of course, so we will take it as it comes. Oh, is that where you bought the spaceship? I was wondering if it was Star Citizen or like, what's the other one? Eve? Eve Online? What's the other one I'm thinking of? Something like that, right? No, not Eve Online. What's the other one I'm thinking of? The big space game. Oh, maybe it is Eve Online. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. Let's get a more chill song here. Not that this isn't chill, but different kind of vibe for Pokemon. There we go. It's a good one. Bought an RSI Galaxy when they released it to buy, and I'm regretting for real. It was like $300, but it looks dope and has cool functionality. Well, hey, I mean, I have a problem with buyer's remorse sometimes, because, yeah, like, maybe I could have spent that money on something more useful, but I don't know. If you get enjoyment out of it, it's worth it. As long as you're not like, as long as you're not foregoing a bill or something like rent, then it's your money. Do what you want. Oh, but does that mean that you have it on lock though? Like when it's out, you definitely get it. I used to know exactly how to get there. I still know generally, but I had it down to a science when I was a kid. Oh! Okay. Okay, so this is something that... Shoot. Stupid Chansey. You can get it in the Cerulean Cave, so whatever. I'll just do it there. Something that's crazy about this game that, to my knowledge, hasn't happened in other Pokemon games. We might find out as we play through them. That happens though. Like the Pokeball won't even hit the Pokemon. Like if the capture rate or the capture chance is so low, you won't even have a chance to like. It won't even like wriggle once. Like it'll just completely miss it. Like the Pokemon batted the Pokeball away. And I don't think that happens in any other game as far as I remember. They do a thing where if you buy a ship that's not out, they give you a loaner ship until it releases. And the loaner always is close to the value of the ship you bought and has some... Oh, that's kind of cool. Oh, well, at least, okay. I mean, if you're going to do it that way, that's like the way to go, right? Like, okay, we don't have this exact ship, but here's a cool thing. Have I played Radical Red? I might have. Is that the one that's like super difficult? Because I definitely, like, my sophomore year of college, like, all I did was play Fire Red ROMs. So, probably. I've probably played it, but I don't remember it by the name. The difficult one? Yeah, I definitely had fun with that. I remember, I think for all of December of 2014, I played that game. Infinite Fusion is, I've seen it on YouTube. It seems really funny. Like it's the one that I'm thinking of, right? Where it's just like, all right, we're going to fuse these Pokemon into crazy like Asura's Wrath looking animations and then use them to battle people. I haven't played that one yet. That might be fun to do on stream though. Oh my god. All right. I won't look a gift horse in the mouth, Chansey. Can I get lucky twice? Yes. Wow. All right. I take it back, Safari Zone. Maybe it's the Persona 4 music pushing us over the edge. Honestly, I probably wouldn't even need a goal. It might just be fun to do. I'm not a huge Sonic fan, but I'm not a Sonic hater either. I think they're fun. I think the world around Sonic is way funnier and more entertaining than the actual Sonic games, but there's a lot of them. Like, I really liked Sonic Mania. I played Sonic 2 a lot when I was a kid. Love that one. Don't really like any of the 3D ones. Like, I know that's kind of the popular negative opinion maybe, but I just think they're frustrating to play and I don't get a whole lot out of them. So I don't know, Richard. Maybe I'm gonna change this song because I hear enough of it when I play Persona 4. I'll do I'll Face Myself. Nice. But yeah, maybe I'll crack that out. I should buy it. I should go to a thrift store and find it in the garbage. If you fuse a Smeargle and a Tyrantrum, the sprite is literally Smeargle painting the Jurassic Park poster. Yes. Love it. Yeah, I'll have to give that a shot because I've seen some really funny stuff on YouTube for it. Oh my god, Tauros. Oh, I didn't know Tauros was in this. I thought it was a... Oh, shoot. Oh, man, I was on autopilot there. Well, now we gotta get Tauros. Unpopular opinion, I liked Sonic Forces for real. That's the one... Okay, that's... I only know that from the Donkey video. Look, it's... Sonic is like the punching bag of the internet, right? Like, I don't think it deserves all of the... I blame Game Grumps. I blame Aaron from Game Grumps for a lot of the hatred that Sonic gets online. But listen, you know, everybody has their thing. I love Kingdom Hearts. So... Oh no, my box is... Oh, God! Alright, take me home. This is not worth it. Oh, frustrating. Damn you, old Pokemon game with your hardware limitations. Well, it's funny when you have, like... You have your own... what am I trying to say? Like, there will be games that you play, right? But then you get, like, knowledge of other games from streaming. I think that's kind of where we are now, right? Like, I might not have time to play every game I want, so maybe I just, while I'm working, watch a streamer play a game. It's fine. That's the thing. It took me too long to realize, like, just do whatever you want with games. It's your time. Is it? Okay, is it cool? Because I've heard some pretty conflicting things about Pal World. I know people are mad about, like, all of the... There's some, like, plagiarism and stuff like that, right? Like, aren't people upset because a lot of the designs are just straight-up Pokemon rips? It sounded cool. I mean, I'm willing to give it a shot. New stream idea. I watch all the Donkey videos and take a shot every time he says something funny or insightful. Just be drunk in 2 minutes. Well, alright, if you get to fire a penguin out of a rocket launcher, that automatically puts it above a lot of other games. Alright, let's teach... Yeah, okay. If it was that plagiarized, Nintendo would be all over it, but they... Ah, that's a good point. I wonder how they do that. You gotta imagine there's a threshold they have before they start sending, like, cease and desists, right? There's a lot that I want to do on stream. I want to play all the Kingdom Hearts games. I want to play all the Persona games. We'll get there. Maybe we'll do it in between Pokemon generations. That might be good. Oh! I have a visitor. Alright. Good. Odo's on my lap. No, it's a good time for games when Odo shows up. Alright, so I want to go back. Maybe I don't. I don't know. I like my team. I don't want to... I mean, I should get Tauros just for the okay, fine. I'm going back. I'm not going to put him in my team, even though... He could probably replace Nidoking. Maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll replace Nidoking. Tauros rocks in this game. Thing is, there are many games with creatures you catch and make your own and make into things to help you proceed with the story. Arc, Pokemon Palworld. Yeah, I know. I think you kind of... Or like Temtem. I don't know if you've played that one. I think where you start getting into trouble, though, because I agree with you. I think, like, the concept, you can't really... You can't trademark the concept of catching monsters and fighting with them, right? Like Dragon Quest also does that. Dragon Quest Monsters, which is a great game. I want to play the new one too. But I think where you get into trouble is when the designs of the creatures look very similar to Pokemon. I heard some accusations that basically like I think the idea is that maybe the Palworld developers put certain Pokemon into like an AI generator and then spat out these new Pokemon. So I think that's the thing that I kind of have an issue with. Like if they're just basically like tracing Pokemon ideas, that's a problem. But yeah, I mean, whatever Nintendo decides to do. Whoa! Come on, Odo. Do you have something to say? No? He's usually very talkative. Say something. Now you're quiet? Alright. Thanks for coming. Could you say it's a ROM of Scarlet and Violet? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I love the idea of more Pokemon type games, right? Because it's been around so long. You're not gonna dethrone Pokemon. Like, there's not gonna be a Pokemon killer. I remember, like, in the 2010s, actually earlier than that, like, because WoW had been out since like 2004. I remember every new MMO that came out, every single new MMO that came out was called the WoW Killer. And it's like, nothing's going to kill WoW. Except itself. WoW will eventually go away because of mistakes that Activision Blizzard makes. But, you know, I think it's the same with Pokemon, where it's like, Pokemon's not going anywhere. Pokemon is a juggernaut. You can't dethrone it. There can be games that are similar, for sure, but, you know, it's just not going to be knocked off its seat of power. Alright, see, now I'm not going to run into Tauros at all. That's how it works, now that he knows that I want him. Nope. Damn. So while we were in Shibuya, where Persona 5 takes place... Actually, I got two stories. Damn it! Damn you, Tauros. So when we stayed in Shibuya for a couple of nights, and it was so cool to go to Central Street because it's like 1-to-1, pretty much the same as it is in Persona 5, so that was really fun. But on top of that, like speaking of 1-to-1 in Persona 5, we went to Sangenjaya, which is the real-life version of Yongenjaya, which is the town in Persona 5 where Joker lives, like with the coffee shop and stuff. And so we went to Sangenjaya and we found the coffee shop. It's called It's not called LeBlanc. It's called Rain on the Roof. And we had I think, the best cup of coffee that we had there. Best cup of hot coffee, for sure. And it was just so cool to be there and in that space where Persona 5 had been, like, scouted out. So it was a lot of fun. Come on, Tauros. Round out my party. It's a good question. Yeah, they sure aren't. As someone who just, someone who just came back, they are not cheap. Although they go up and down like crazy, like depending on what's happening in Japan. So if there's like a big festival or like a big holiday or something, they'll be really expensive. But then like if you go in the off time, like an expensive round trip ticket to Japan could be like $1,400 maybe. But then like an inexpensive one can be like $600. So like if you go at a time where no one's really going, you can kind of get lucky. Still a lot of money, but better than $1,400. Although, let me say something. I'm gonna use what little platform I have here to tell you all about. So the whole trip was amazing, except for the return. The return was a nightmare, and I blame Air Canada completely. If you go to Japan, hell, if you go to Canada, like, don't fly Air Canada. They are terrible. The customer service was awful from start to finish. Without going too much into detail, maybe I'll tell it on another stream when I have more energy. But I just don't want to, like, work myself up to be so angry. Basically, like, they completely failed at every single turn of the trip. So there was like, 3 different legs of the trip, and at every part they told it, they just lied to us about something. They made us do extra work that didn't pay off for anything. And what it all amounted to was delays being bumped to flights that we didn't ask for, more delays, and then our luggage being delayed, even though we explicitly told them what was happening and where it needed to go. So I ended up not getting everything that I bought in Japan for 2 days after I flew back, which I consider myself lucky, because I know there are people who just don't get, airlines lose their luggage and they just never see them again. But it was awful. So yeah, the few of you watching, this is, if I have any influence as a streamer on your life, do not fly Air Canada. That is the second time that they've lost my luggage in as many trips, and I refuse to patronize them again. So next time, like when Maddie and I go, we're going to be flying All Nippon Airways or Japan Airlines. Just the straight shot through those actual places, or actual companies that work out of Japan. Because I just don't trust Air Canada anymore. So, up yours, Air Canada. I mean, to see family, I'm sure they don't need to go when tons of tourists are going. Yeah, exactly, right? Like, you can go, like, take a random flight. It's going to be a lot cheaper. British Airways all the way. I haven't flown British Airways. They good? Sounds like you like them. Let's see. Could I get your opinion on Japan? I have a friend who invites me to go to Japan with her pretty often, but she speaks Japanese and I don't. No problem. I know it's welcoming to travelers, but I worry I'll make her feel like she needs to babysit me as a clueless American. What are your thoughts on that train of thought? Really good question, Richard. So that was basically like this last trip. So I speak Japanese. Aaron doesn't. I think he felt kind of uh, restricted because he didn't want to like be the ugly American and cause problems for people. But I think he was, he was hesitant to jump into English conversation. I would say don't be, right? Especially if you're going to Tokyo or Kyoto, like the big cities. Don't worry about it, right? You'll find somebody who speaks English. You'll find somebody who can direct you to someone who speaks English. So I think like something that happens to people who don't speak any Japanese is they freeze up and they think they can't do anything. Don't be afraid. Like, go up to a kiosk, go up to a desk. All of the trains, like the JR Railway, the bullet trains, the local subways, like they all have information areas where you can just go up and say, "Can I speak to you in English?" and they'll find somebody for you. It's very friendly in that way. And the other thing is, when you look like, this, or like you do, Richard, right? Like when you look like a beardy white guy from America, people are going to speak to you in English first. They're not going to try to speak to you in Japanese. The other thing that I noticed that wasn't there the last time I was there was a lot of Japanese people will use their phones, their smartphones, to translate in real time. So they'll write something out in Japanese and it'll translate to English and they'll just show it to you, right? So, for example, Aaron and I got on the wrong train once, and it was like it was a limited express train that you needed a reservation for. And so the train, not the conductor, but one of the like train attendants, he came up and he wrote down like, "Excuse me, this is a reservation only train. Please get off at the next stop," right? And that was all he had to do. So it was super easy. And I think like if you ever feel like you're being a burden on your friend, I would say just ask, and then also like, look for, every restaurant has a English menu. Like you can always ask for one. They usually bring it to you even before you ask. They'll just say, "Here's an English menu." So my guess would be your friend probably doesn't worry about that kind of stuff because it's pretty easy to navigate. Makes me feel a lot better about it. Another hang up I have is I'm 6'5". Yeah. Yeah, that's I'm lucky because I'm 5'10", and I'm pretty big. I'm losing some poundage, but so just for like background, I lost about 40 pounds before we went to Japan, and I'm so glad I did because it is tough to be an American-sized American in Japan. 6'5", Richard. That's you'll. Aaron was joking. So Aaron's like maybe 2 inches taller than me. I think he's like just 6 feet. And he was laughing because he was like, "I'm going to give myself a concussion just walking into doorways. Like you got to be really careful." So I think the nice thing though is that if you stay at like first of all, if you stay at like more traditional Japanese places, you'll sleep on a futon on a tatami mat, so there's no worry about how big the bed is. But most hotels that we stayed at, like the Western style ones, the beds they took up the whole room, but they were really spacious. So you definitely have to be careful, but you'll be all right. What's funny too is that you will definitely, when you go, you'll definitely get looks from people like, "Wow, look at that guy." I remember when we were staying at a ryokan, like a traditional Japanese inn, but we stayed at 2, and we had these huge suitcases with us, and when we had entered the place, like the hostesses would be insistent on like taking our bags, and we were like, "Please don't, they're very heavy, we don't want you to take them." And so one of them was this like sweet little old lady at a place called Takao Kanko Inn, which was beautiful. I'm going to go back with Maddie. But she was laughing because she was like, oh, suitcases are huge. And then she's like, but then you're both very tall and large, aren't you? We're like, yep. Oh, thank you. I know. It's the, you know what the really sucky answer to it too is, Richard, is like, it literally is just discipline. Like, discipline and time. I think the thing that helped me, is like, kind of the phrase like, okay, time is going to pass regardless. I can either not go on my hike, not go to the gym, or I can do it, and I can eat like 1,800 calories a day, which is what I shoot for. So I can either do that, or I can just let time pass as I've been doing it and stay the same weight or gain weight, right? And I think that was a big turning point for me mentally, is like, time's going to pass regardless. So the other thing that helped me was not thinking of it as like a goal, but as that mindset shift. So instead of saying like, I want to lose 100 pounds, my goal was like, I want to go on a hike every day, and I want to cut out diet soda, and like only have dessert maybe once or twice a week, So like that kind of stuff helped me out, but it's hard to be consistent. The nice thing is, I think like if you can build in ways to see that like you're having an effect on your life, it can be really affirming. So what I mean by that is like, I did this for a few months, and I noticed it like, I had to like go down a pant size, which was nice. Like my waist shrunk a little bit. So that was great, right? But when I really noticed it was when I was in Japan, and I'm like, oh, thank God I lost that weight, because I would have been miserable trying to be on the trains, and the plane ride would have been a nightmare. All that stuff, Always struggled, but now that I'm older, it's a lot more of a lifestyle change to be healthy, so it's easier that way. I know, it's the impatience. I'm the exact same way. That's why, like, I'm telling you, build in, like, I don't know what that would look like for you, right? But that helped me a lot. Like, I was just so thankful. I even gained, like, a few pounds back after the Japan trip, but I feel so much better that I was like, okay, that was worth it. And I think the next thing will obviously be my wedding. Like, when I see myself in photos, I'll be like, I'm really glad that I made that change. So things you can do there, like, and it doesn't have to be like, I'm going to plan a trip so that I can be grateful for it. But like, I remember thinking, before the Japan trip, when I knew I had lost quite a bit of weight, I was thinking like, oh man, I didn't plan to lose weight for the trip, but I am so happy I did, because the plane ride will be that much more comfortable. And then it was, right? And I think practicing gratitude when I was on the plane and being like, oh man, I'm really grateful that I made those choices so that I'm not deeply uncomfortable on this 14-hour plane ride. Stuff like that. Hard to practice, but definitely makes your life a lot nicer. In my experience, anyway. Oh yeah, you like it, Random? I'm pretty happy about it. Another shout out, Pablo Vester. I really, really love it. I love the watercolor, love the style. Lucked out because his favorite Pokemon to draw is Gengar, so I feel like it was meant to be. But very worth it. Now I think Ditto is here. Did I give up on Tauros? I completely forgot what I was doing. I don't have a Pokemon who can fly yet. I gotta evolve Dratini. But I think probably, speaking of consistency, I'm gonna go hit the gym here in a few minutes. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go back to the Safari Zone, and I'm going to catch a Tauros. And when I have a Tauros, then I will be all set for the gym. I should clarify, I'll be all set for the real life gym, not like Fuchsia City Gym. It is. I'm bulking up before the gym. I know we've had this discussion before, but Tauros is probably one of the better Pokemon to eat. It's just probably a lot of lean beef on it. Some healthy fats would be my guess. You think Ditto would be good? Would it? Okay, here's the question. Would Ditto taste like pudding? Like, what would it taste like? Would it be able to take on the taste of whatever it wanted? Because that would be the best. You know, if you could just make Ditto into anything you wanted. It's jelly. It'd be pretty good. Good dessert. Ditto and Jigglypuff, I think, would be very good desserts. You think so? Blurbasaur. Gotta run into it first. I agree with the consistency, Richard. The taste is what worries me, because Grimer and Muck, I think specifically, are generated from, like, power plant discharge. So, if I could get the consistency of a Muck with the taste of a Jigglypuff. Oh my god. Come on. This is getting silly now. Yes. Mr. Mime, Machamp or Machoke would be very concerning. I think one of my favorite Oni Plays jokes is like, you know, what if you had a friend who just had 6 Machamps? It's like, what's going on with that guy? Come on. Rhyhorn, I have you already. I have you. I've got you. Oh, this is embarrassing. For them. Come on, Pokemon. Show me what you got. Oh. Boop boop doo 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 doo. This is crazy. It's like it knows I'm after it. Come on. This is so funny too, because I'm just thinking about the anime where Ash catches like 40 Tauros because there's just a million of them hanging around. I do wonder about that, because that's a whole plot point in Gold and Silver, is that Team Rocket is after the Slowpoke tails because they're delicious. So it must be like, I don't know. Is it like, do you think it's like filet mignon? Is it like a really like amazing lobster? Because technically Slowpoke is a water Pokemon. Like, yeah, I want to know. You can't just tempt me with that and then not tell me what it tastes like. Give me some kind of description. Oh, that might be it. It's like filet mignon and lobster tail. Oh, it's making me hungry. It sounds really good. No wonder. No wonder people are going after him. Surfing TERF is a very different meal. Yeah. Having lobster with J.K. Rowling or something. Surf and turf. I'm sure that's a joke somewhere. That's got to be a shirt that somebody's made. All right. We're going into lazy gamer mode here. Lazy gamer position. I need you to understand something. That's his ground. He made that. Ugh. This is ridiculous. I haven't even run into one. Come on, how... Can't be that rare. I ran into like 3 in a row. He's a metal maniac. That and Chunky needing to figure out what he does. You had all summer to figure it out. It hurts? Yeah, it does, actually. Maybe you go in for a job interview, and I say, not that guy yells. Alright, I'm going to try one more time, and then I'm, Oh! I'll just buy you from the casino. like, you hit me in the cup and you pulled on my shirt, stretched it out, and it looks like a bell now. I love every moment of that show. There's like a moment that'll pop into my head for like any number of different circumstances. Like one of my favorites is the TC Tuggers shirts, when at the end of the commercial it's like, do they come in different colors? He's just like, not really. It's one of my favorite jokes. Come on. One change word or phrase, the driving crooner when he said, I gotta find a way to make money out of this. I really want to. Yeah. I'm gonna kill you, driving crooner. People hate this. That or like the what? This isn't porn. This is a nude egg I won from my game. I'm not in trouble at all, actually. The phrase, a nude egg I won from my game. I feel like if I don't get this, I'll have been defeated by this stream, and I don't want that. Sure, brother. Promise me you'll never do another. I'm just starting to think maybe there's no rules. Crashmore. I'm just starting to think. Could it be true? Maybe there are no rules. Oh my god, okay. Oh, damn it. Well, we've got Persona 5 music to motivate us here. But I do think this is the last run, because I do want to get to the gym. Speaking of diligence. Really like the one where that guy's in the play and loves his wife, but it didn't with Jamie Tacos. The funniest thing about that to me is I gotta go. You never stay for the sleepover. You never stay. Just the grown adult men. You never stay for the sleepover. You always leave. I gotta go. The idea that somebody in a play is like competing for all the lines is a great idea. That it's just like, all right, there's a finite number of lines, and if you're not quick enough, I'm going to take all of them so that I can win the play, is a very good idea. messing around and it went too far. Just like it always is. His delivery is so funny because it's like, I was saying this to Aaron. It like he has such a quality of Redditor speak. Like it's either he's doing a reading like a sitcom, like that one. It's like we were doing it and it went too far, just like always. You know, like it's like a sitcom read. But then there's in the sketch where he has hair that looks like a dog. His friends like swipe right on Tinder for him, and he just goes, "I'm going on a date tonight." You know, it's like this. I could kill you right now, just like a guy that just only speaks through Reddit. It's such a way of doing that. My favorite line readings in that sketch too is obviously the "I almost killed myself, Julie," but then later, as the sketch ends, when Julie's like, "My husband is very attractive," and he just goes, "Julie." I'm working my way through Detroiters too, which is very funny, and I only recently got into it because I was wanting more Tim Robinson stuff. It's very funny. It's basically just I think you should leave, but with more structure, which is pretty. It's like a funny thing to think about in and of itself, but it's worth it. You can watch it on YouTube, I think. So if you're keeping tabs, my recommendations are The Retro Freak, Detroiters, and then my Going to War is Against Air Canada. So that's my influence for you all this evening. Oh, the tables one. Oh my god. The tables one cracked me up immediately, but it's one of those, as you say, it's like a sleeper one where like I was laughing at her performance, and it's only like later, every single one of these sketches, this is really hard to do, I feel like, because sketches are such a disposable medium, but Tim Robinson and I can't remember the black guy's name, Sam something, like the way that they write comedy is specifically so that you think about it and you keep coming back to it and just keep repeating lines to yourself. So I love that sketch, and there's lines in it that make me laugh harder than like even some of the jokes in it. Like when he goes, they're asking him like, what does she do for a living? Like, what is it? And he's just like, I don't know. It's just something that the writers of this made for this, which is such a real world way to explain something. It's just something they did. It's the same actress. I don't know if it's supposed to be the same story. I'm laughing thinking about it. That's how good it is. That woman too, by the way. Any sketch she's in is hilarious. The sharks thing where it's like, I'm scared about how much I need wine. I threw up in the toilet and it was black. She's just, as crazy as Tim Robinson is, I think that woman might actually be insane. Tables! And every sketch that she's in, she kind of is like an insane person, like the one where she's trying to kill her boss because he let somebody have a dog in the office but asked her to take her like many rats out of her desk. Oh. If no one knows, okay, if anybody's watching the VOD later, we're referencing I Think You Should Leave, the Tim Robinson sketch show on Netflix. So if you haven't watched it, go watch it. Make them make a million more seasons. That is one, again, I keep saying like they're one of my favorites. They're all my favorites. Yeah, are we even going to get anything now? 'Cause I didn't ask for that. You make or you make one joke, and I make hundreds of on par, if not funnier, jokes, and I'm looked at like I'm crazy. She's just like, she's such a one of a kind performer. I love her. I'm back in the pants again. Speaking of Santa, the quote unquote reveal of Crashmore is one of the hardest times I think I've ever laughed in my life. The idea that Crashmore is just Santa Claus and he doesn't want to talk about his job. That and the Tammy Craps, the doll thing. I can't remember the last time I've laughed that hard. Like not since being at the lunch table as a kid with my friends. Like have I laughed that hard, I think. Like pausing the show, taking deep breaths, like almost throwing up, that kind of just like, this is so stupid and I love it kind of laugh. God damn. Come on, Tauros. The Detroiters is great. There's also a show. I don't care, but it's not good behavior. I forgot that one. I've seen everybody naked. That's right, everyone. The Detroiters is really good, and then there's a show on Netflix. It was like a limited run thing where a bunch of I think it was just like a bunch of improv people and like character actors that are like comedy character actors came together. It was called The Characters, and Tim Robinson's episode is really good. There's the winner sketch of that episode is it's just Tim Robinson as like, you know, luck be a lady tonight, you know, kind of like casino, like he just haunts casinos and he's always lucky, and it's like, oh, it's, you know, it's Mr. Luck, like, blow on the dice, doll, you know. And then as soon as he, like, there's just like 5 or 8 minutes of build up of this guy like being the best, and then when he goes to the table, he rolls the dice and the guy goes snake eyes, and he just goes, what? And it just like falls apart for him, like taking back all the tips he gave people, and like you know, telling a fat guy to stop eating a steak that he bought him, and like it's just hilarious. The Garfield house is one that I can appreciate as funny but doesn't get me. It's like, yes, that I feel like that's the most Tim and Eric one. The Garfield house one. Although I will say the part of that really gets me is how they're all like in agreement to do an intervention for Tim, and she keeps saying like, yeah, it's a total party house. Yeah, like we should do it at my house. It's a total party house. Like, and no one says like, maybe that's not the best place to have an intervention for our friend the alcoholic. It's a total party house. I said or something. Yeah, there's not a bad sketch. I know, like Aaron and I were laughing because what is the actual line from Seinfeld? Let me see. Let's see, Seinfeld. That's wrong. Shoot, I'm not going to be able to find it, but... Oh, wait, maybe I can do it this way. Hang on. Seinfeld intern interview. No, not that. Seinfeld. Susan. Here we go. Scholarship, that's right. I gotta find this because I swear it goes back to Tim Robinson. This is it. So, so okay. The there's an episode of Seinfeld where so it's after Susan dies, and George is on the like the board for the institute to like give money away from the Rosses and stuff, the Susan Foundation, whatever it was called, and they're doing an interview for internships, and at one point George is interviewing somebody, and he's like, the guy is giving him all of his credentials, and George just goes, "What's your favorite animal?" And he goes, I don't know, frog?" And George just goes, "Frog? No, frog is wrong." And I don't have a sketch that I don't like from I Think You Should Leave, but Aaron sent me a GIF that was like, what's your favorite I Think You Should Leave sketch? And the guy goes, I don't know, Little Buff Boys? And it just goes, "No, Little Buff Boys is wrong." I think that sketch is very funny, but it's certainly not my favorite one. We goose him a little. It's an old circus term. Maybe I can get Kangaskhan. Oh, it'd be nice if they didn't run away. I know, right? No. Little Buff Boys is wrong. Oh, you're not supposed to have the way they died on the In Memoriam. It sure is. I know. I've been trying to get this Tauros. I think I'm going to call it. Oh. It's like deeply frustrating that it's not showing up. I swear there was a time in here where it came up like 2 in a row. I can barely get it. It's crazy because Tauros doesn't really come off as like a great Pokemon, but then its stat pool in this game is like insane. So it is worth it. But you gotta find it first. Alright. Come on. Nobody's favorite baby. The names of the older babies, too. So good. Little darling Dinkins. Crushed by a garbage truck. Like all the judges hate him just as much. It's pretty great. Alright. We'll try again some other time. I do want a Tauros, so. Anyway, alright, well, I think so I'm gonna go take care of myself by going to the gym and going on a hike. And then I think I'll probably be back to play probably more of this, would be my guess. But we might do some Pokemon Violet later, and we'll just kind of see how the day goes. So I've deleted the schedule because I was never really on schedule with stuff like that. So it's going to be kind of catch as catch can. But I definitely, like I said, am planning to just do more streaming just whenever I have time. So if you see that pop up, come and join in. If you miss it, I've got the VODs going, so I'm going to get this uploaded to my YouTube channel at Daimugen Dan. So feel free to take a look. If you miss anything, they're all going to be up there. So that is my plan. So Richard, Random, if you're still here, thanks for watching as always. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time I see you. Take care.